I know one of the things I don't know enough about is the fashion industry. I've been looking forward to your segment for like the last day because I'm like, I need to know more about this and like that real world experience because I don't have any perspective on that.
Oh yeah, it happens and it's rampant like a muff. But talk about the first case of it. I have to give like prior context. So I'm chilling in the crib, you know. Matt sends me some. I'm like, he is like, yo, look at what I just sent. And I look at it and it's a picture of the Gucci design team after the show. Because usually, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not watching no Gucci shows because they be dropping bullshit. I see the team and it's an all-white design team.
Crazy.
All-white design team.
Mind you, it's Gucci. It's 10 a.m. in the morning when I see this shit.
There's someone named Gucci Mane.
Right.
In our community. Damn.
In our community.
Yeah, in an all-white design team. And like when I see that, it's so disheartening because I know how many special like black creatives there actually are. And I've seen it like on Instagram just scrolling. It's like these people just deserve a shot and like these houses never want to give them. They only want to give them the shot when it's like trendy or it's like if they actually need it.
So tell me what that mean though. So like so is it like there's a situation where there are actual like good artists or good like creatives that are black that are just constantly getting looked over, or do you think it's more of like a skill thing, like how we talk about a mayor top?
Yeah, no, for sure not a skill thing. It's kind of like they're overlooked. No, they're definitely overlooked. It's not a skill thing. So I've seen a lot of black designers that like can do a lot of things that white designers can and even more. And especially with them having, I think the thing with fashion is, right, what kind of separates you is having that different perspective. And having that different perspective changes your whole design language. When you see a different culture, you would expect, hey, they have that different perspective. Why wouldn't I want to invest in that and actually change some shit?
Growing up in a different environment.
Exactly.
You so correct. I remember when we talk about like even from like a military perspective, if you ask like, if you talk to anybody when it comes to like the Department of Defense or anyone responsible for the U.S. military, they'll talk about our strength has increased year over year because there's so much diversity in the military now. You can't effectively defend an entire country if you have one perspective doing that and one experience.
At all. And like the thing with Gucci is like, this is not like a new thing with their racist like past. They've had, I know you've seen the blackface thing.
They've had
and they had to drop it. Yeah, it's like they had this kind of like, it wasn't even a fucking turtleneck. They just had like thing and they tried to play it off. With the mouth.
Like the
and it was, everyone went crazy over it because like, bro, that's blatant racism. And it's like they only dropped that apology because it was like too much like
all white design team.
Yeah. All white design team and you're dropping that. That's insane.
Wow.
And like,
mind you,
what you say?
Well, continue. I'm sorry.
No, because it was transitional.
I was gonna say, mind you, the models that they utilized for that all white design team. They had the all white design team come out, clapping hands. Like I think the first 4 models that they showed in the carousel were all black.
We're all black. Yeah.
All black models.
All black, wearing the black face.
Because
all
you
black.
can look at it and be like, oh, they're minorities like
They're
wearing the clothes.
participating, right?
Yeah, there's minorities wearing the clothes. Therefore, it's like there's no problem.
And this goes back to my point of these houses will only use black people for either a trend if they need to. They'll have those front runner models as black because you know what? Let's sell the show.
And I was
Let's
saying,
include diversity.
And it makes it
but
seem
like
almost as if it's like an honor. You're walking.
Yeah.
Right.
It's an honor to walk.
But we're not. It's not an honor to be on your team though.
Yeah, and let me because I feel like there are people who could watch this and be like, well, I mean, there are people wearing the stuff. Just because it's an all-white design team doesn't mean necessarily it's overtly racist. What is like an example of something that like Gucci has done in their past that like
Besides blackface.
Yeah, besides the blackface. If that's not enough for you for some odd reason,
I'll make it enough. The thing is, so Gucci, like most other houses, but Gucci in particular, has a history of stealing designs. And one famous design they stole from is a famous designer named Dapper Dan. And he's older and he's from New York and Harlem. And I'll kind of give you like the whole story on Dapper Dan. So Dapper Dan, that's him right there when he was younger.
I ain't lie, he dapper.
Because mind you, this is like in damn near like the 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
So this nigga fly.
Yeah, he fly.
So he started off, he wanted to be a designer, but he didn't have, the income to like actually, invest in his education or any of that. He went out to like different factories kind of asking like, yo, could I have like some textiles or could I have like, certain materials? And they denied him because he was a black man and they didn't want anything to like be involved with him. He's like, yo, they don't want anything to be like involved with me. So if that's the case, I'll just do my own thing. So what he ended up doing was going to the library. He learned all about kind of fabrics, how to make clothes, textiles, all different types of shit, right? So with that knowledge he learned, he ends up like in the store one day and someone walked past him with like a Louis bag, and he saw the bag and he's like, yo, this bag is like amazing. But he didn't know what it was, because if you think about it, during that time, no one in Harlem,
In Harlem,
Yeah, in
Louis
Harlem, New
what
York, you're not
Louis is.
walking around
Yeah.
with Louis in the 80s.
don't
yeah,
have
yeah,
shit
it was a very different time. Like,
that was like exclusive shit, right?
yeah, it was
Yeah.
very exclusive, and it's like only kind of,
Tailored
like,
to wealthy
yeah,
white
Tailored to
people.
white
tailored
people,
to the white
exactly.
people, because those are
Exclusive
the only
to
ones
white
that can
Because you didn't
afford
even
it. Yeah.
give black people the capital to think about a Louis, to
Yeah.
buy a Louis. Yeah.
Wasn't even hip hop. So he saw that and he's like, yo, I like love this. I want to learn all about it. So then he starts kind of investing in like learning about it. He goes to the Louis store and he's asked like, do you have like leather clothes? And they're like, no, we don't have that like for you. You got to go to Gucci. And like he went to Gucci, they didn't have leather clothes either. Like the main kind of houses back then were only using leather for like wallets, bags, etc. Like they weren't kind of like, you see the monogram on his jacket, they weren't utilizing that at all.
The
So he's
monogram as in like the
as in the
design,
designs all
logo.
over the jacket. Yeah, none of the houses were utilizing that. So he's like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm finna do my own shit. He ends up going to Louis, spends his money on like a bag. He ends up deconstructing the bag and like makes it like out of a shirt. Or like on like a long sleeve, on like a leather kind of long sleeve. And all the people in Harlem were like, yo, what is this?
Exactly. What the fuck?
Yeah, they were like,
cut a
what
bag
is
up
this?
and made a shirt.
And made a shirt.
Before you continue with this story, I think there's a good time to explain what that concept is when it comes to if you take refashion something and make it. That's a standard in the industry, if I'm correct. Yeah.
It is. So kind of how a lot of people start off with sewing or like designing, and they mainly start off with upcycling. So upcycling is you take like a pair of those jeans, right? You deconstruct those jeans.
normal,
Yeah,
or like
AB's
Levi's.
You deconstruct those jeans and you kind of make them out of some, like you want to make like a bag. You can make it the denim bag. You can make a new pair of jeans. You can do all types of things, but that's upcycling. And a lot of people do it to honestly like understand clothes, because it's one thing to kind of like make a pattern and kind of sew it, but you kind of like, you don't really understand what it takes to like make clothes.
Yeah. Right.
Like it's kind of like you're skipping the first step, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you kind of do it with upcycling. So that's how he did it, because no one was really upcycling back then. So he kind of like pioneered like upcycling when it comes to
Like high
end.
fashion.
Yeah.
high
Yeah, okay.
fashion.
That's hard. That's
Okay.
hard.
Yeah, so he did that. Next piece, this is like the pieces he made for other people. So that's like a leather Louis jacket.
Wow.
So you have people in Harlem
In Harlem.
in the 70s and 80s wearing shit like
Get
this.
to work because now it's accessible.
Crazy.
Yeah, now it's accessible to everyone. They're like, yo, what is Louis? What is this?
I think this is a moment that we could stop really quick and also say the significance of them wearing some shit like this is that perspective that you were talking about earlier. If I'm growing up now with OGs or people in my neighborhood in these prints, in these high fashion looking like clothing, it's gonna change my perspective growing up. Like for instance, us, we grew up looking at big YouTubers and cars, and so we didn't want to just go. Nothing wrong with it. We didn't want to just go work at the mail office.
Broke at motherfucking Kroger's and
exactly.
shit, right.
We wanted to work at, the Louis.
And we were also like
cars.
given the opportunity to like be able to chase a lot of that stuff. A lot of people, especially in the black community, you're not growing up seeing that shit, and you don't have any choice but to go work at those other things. So seeing people bringing that like aspect around you makes like even children in that area want to dream.
Yeah. No, that like literally what you said, it inspires other people to dream, and it like if you think about it, that literally changes fashion as a whole, because you see like now fashion is extremely stagnant, but that's because they're not allowing like people of color those opportunities to honestly change it.
Yeah,
but
and
yeah,
I feel like if we, because I will say we should describe like if we talk about the jacket that he actually made, you have like it's a brown like leather.
yeah, if you see in like the guy in the middle, like you can tell that's like a leather bag made into a jacket,
Right.
And it's
Brown
kind of
leather
like
jacket,
you see kind of like how
monogram
it's
on the
parts with the
front,
monogram. Yeah, has
Would
that.
you say that like Dapper Dan is the pioneer of like monograms?
Yeah. So I'll get into that, right? So he was first getting the bags, deconstructing them, doing the upcycling, selling them, but he realized it's like, yo, this is not profitable because I'm spending all this money on leather goods and
right.
reconstructing them and selling to a lot of people that can't afford it. So what he ended up doing was, and it's crazy, a lot of people don't even like know this, he ended up making a process for screen printing on leather goods. Kind of made his own process. So what he did was he would have like the Louis monogram, he made that and would screen print it on his own leather goods. So he made like jackets like this off of like the leather that he could find, but he would print
So he
on
would
the
take
monogram.
the leather from like the bags and like other stuff, whatever, and like print on like that monogram or whatever. like through the process that he like pioneered when it comes to like screen printing and everything.
Yeah, in the beginning, he would deconstruct the bags and kind of make those clothes. But later on, he ended up getting more money and more resources and more connections so he can get his own leather manufacturer. So to get his own leather, then he'll
now it's his leather
Yep.
with that.
Exactly.
Okay.
And he's putting the monogram on. Now, a lot of people are going to hear that.
Yeah.
What are they going to say immediately?
They're
They're
gonna
gonna
be like,
say,
"Oh, you copyright,
you're
you're
stealing."
But no,
Bro, if you don't allow people into it's like prohibition shit, right?
Yeah.
With like liquor, right? If you're not allowing people to drink liquor, you think everybody's just gonna stop.
Yeah, or is it gonna go
You're
underground?
always going to have that one person to say, "Nah, let's do this shit ourselves. Let's do this shit underground," and then you have what blew up.